Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, we are going to be talking about the Hellcat Waistguard for the Demon Hunter Marauder set in this video. And I've had a lot of questions and I've read a lot of articles about this belt. There's a lot of confusion with which types of grenades it works and which types of grenades it works best with and what it's effective for and whether grenade is the same as grenades. And there's heaps of fucking questions. I just want to make a separate video, talk about it before I unveil my Marauder's build. As you can see, my Demon Hunter here looks ultra sexy in her pink Marauder's outfit, and she has a really awesome sexy bow as well. But anyway, we're talking about the Hellcat Waistguard. Basically, this belt was buffed big time in a patch at some stage prior to 2.5. It was at a time when I wasn't playing the Demon Hunter for a little while, but it's definitely quite new, maybe 2.4.3, something like that. But basically, the legendary stat you see there is grenades have a chance to bounce 5 times, dealing an additional 50% damage on each bounce, and the last bounce is increased by 800% on the final bounce. That's huge damage, really huge damage. And a lot of people seem to be wondering whether they need to be using grenade here. Now, basically, these grenades, they bounce no matter what, and they are affected. They do get the buff from the belt, but this shit here isn't what you want. You definitely want to keep evasive fire. Let's get them bouncing here. You can see how they bounce. They do get that buff, but it's just so shit. It's not worth it. We're going to be spamming cluster arrow with cluster bombs the whole time, and that's where the damage comes from. You know, when we're spamming this, there's no fucking reason to use these little stupid grenades. We keep evasive fire with focus just so we can regenerate some hatred. And what we want is watch these boys. So these big ones that bounce here, they're the ones that are going to do the fucking huge damage. And the thing is, with the Marauder's build, as a lot of you will know that if you've played Demon Hunters before, when you pop down your sentries, every time you do this, when you're actually attacking enemies though, not when you're doing it in the middle of nowhere, they're not gonna, the sentries won't fucking do the cluster arrows. But if enemies were here right now, they would mimic everything we're doing with the cluster arrows. So it'll shoot more cluster arrows. And you can probably get about, what is it, with the gear that we have, we can get 5 sentries up, and they're all gonna be fucking shooting these grenades as well. So we're gonna be spamming that. We're gonna be using what do you call it, vengeance here. So we're not going to run out of hatred, and every now and then when we have to, we just, you know, do an evasive fire, we get some hatred back, and just keep spamming cluster arrow. Watch that shit bounce. We're definitely going to be taking advantage of the grenades in cluster arrow and not the grenade primary skill. So I mean, in a nutshell, that's pretty much how the Hellcat Waistguard works. Not anywhere near as effective with your grenade primary skill. Don't use that shit. Just do exactly what I showed you here. That's the whole point of the Hellcat Waistguard, for cluster arrow damage. And you can see in your Marauders set bonuses here, when you have actually 4 items equipped, if you look at the 4 set bonus, there is sentries deal 400% increased damage and cast elemental arrow, chakram, impale, multi-shot, and cluster arrow when you do. So that's only when enemies are around, as you saw there. You know, I've obviously used this build before, so trust me, it works. The sentries will mimic what you're doing, and the damage is just amplified. Like, it's 400% there when sentries cast it, and then you get 800% in that final bounce. Fucking huge damage, boys. Huge damage. Now, don't get sucked into this trap. Let's go over to the enchanter here. Basically, you got to be careful when you're enchanting gear. I'll show you why. There's a few items where you can enchant grenade damage here. Now, grenade damage, this stat only applies to the primary grenade damage skill, not the cluster arrows and the grenades that we're shooting that you saw there. Only to the primary shitty one, which we're not using. So no point, boys, rolling 15% grenade damage thinking that you're going to amplify your grenades damage. It's not going to work. Grenade is grenade, grenades are grenades. So unfortunately that won't work, so don't get stuck into that trap. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Hellcat Waistguard. It's been buffed, it works really well with Marauders, and I'll be back really soon, hopefully even today, with my Marauders build video, and then we're going to go into the Shadows Mantle. Can't wait to do the Shadows Mantle build. That's the best fucking Demon Hunter build at the moment, easily smashes everything. And then I'm going to do some movie reviews as well. So all these videos that I've got planned will be being pumped out in the next day or two. Stay tuned to the channel, and better yet, subscribe, and that way you won't miss a thing.